Morning,
Wow.
everybody.
Good
Thanks for
morning.
joining us. I'm Dr. Marty Rossman, and of course, I'm here with Sergeant Major, retired Joe VanFonda, who's the CEO of Disabled Veterans National Foundation, who has taken on and sponsored the Mission Possible Mind, Body, Spirit. All life changes can be managed course that we hope that you're benefiting from. And we have a special guest, a friend and colleague of Joe's that he'll introduce today. Today, we're going to address the topic of regret, regrets and self-judgment, a very difficult psychological, emotional, cognitive experience that a lot of people who've been through difficult experiences are going through. And we're going to talk about some ways to deal with that, in some ways that Mission Possible toolkit can help you deal with that. So before I talk too much, Sergeant Major Joseph VanFonda, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Marty. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure talking to you. You know, we get into some deep conversations, but we have a special guest today. This is Mo. I'm not going to, rake his last name over the coals, but I'm going to have him speak about just a little bit about what he's done in the military, and what he's actually doing out here in society and so forth. I know he's up there in Pontiac, Michigan. I know the weather's turning for the best for him up there. But this is Mo. He's a previous corporal of Marines. He's a motivator, and he's taken that passion, those leadership traits and principles, and that brotherhood and sisterhood that he's learned, that teamwork and all that, and he brought it into the civilian society back up there in Pontiac, Michigan. He's doing wonderful things. So I'm going to introduce Mo. Mo, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the military and what you're currently doing.
Sergeant Major, if I may, if this is recorded, can I clip out that last minute of your introduction of me so I can share it with my friends? They're not going to believe that.
You sure can. We'll cut and paste whatever you want. We'll throw, we even put a hair on top of that head if you want. So yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself there, Mo.
Okay, so yeah, Corps Marines. I did my time in 97-02. A lot of that was over at Bay, Hawaii, for those that are familiar with that area, and then jumped on a 13th MEU, and ended up becoming the response team to the USS Cole bombing. Got out a couple of years later. Did my time in a stop lost in the reserves for a year, and then I was on my way to try to take on civilian life, and went through a lot to eventually arrive at what I do now, which is founded a nonprofit organization, Foxhole, where we use martial arts as a healthy outlet for veterans to use to get over some of those transitional challenges. We particularly focus on, suicide ideation, PTSD, but along the way, there's a ton of challenges along the way before you even get to those decisions. So martial arts seems to be a really good outlet. You surround yourself with like-minded people. You're learning along the way. You learn a bunch of stuff that, hey, I just can't come in the one time and I'm ready to go compete at it. You're ready to go mainstream, go on pay-per-views, and these lofty aspirations. You got to put your time in, and luckily there's people there that want what you want. So if you just want to come there for the camaraderie, because you know how it goes when we get together, it's a good time, or maybe you just want to get your mobility because of service connected issues. So we adapt to that too. We amputees and such. Then you also got to doing where they may want to compete. There's nothing wrong with competition. It's healthy. It's good. Let you know where you're at compared to other folks. And then, of course, there's the big stuff like helping folks get to their amateur, eventually become professional, send them to national competitions, international competitions. Right. So it's whatever that vet wants, but they all have one thing in common. It's we're all here for each other. We're going to push each other. We're accountable to each other. And then you just grind and get to work, and we help each other get where we need to go.
Right. So you have your, foxhole.org, right? That's your nonprofit that you created, right? But you also work for other, well, you don't work for, but you volunteer for other veteran organizations. Could you give me a minute or two on what you do within the Veterans of Foreign Wars, or, what else are you doing within the community outside just your foxhole.org?
Absolutely. My first started volunteering was through my local VFW here in Pontiac. Where I'm actually in the fancy new pavilion we just had done here. But yeah, that was the first place. And that was the first place, in all honesty, that I found like-minded individuals where I saw and I started learning more from these older vets. So you got like the Vietnam era that was the main leadership team.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what I didn't know until I met them. And then all of a sudden I started learning a whole lot from them. Then I started learning these guys are just like me. They're just from a different generation, but we're exactly the same. So then I became commander of the post. Our post is now doing fantastic work. We turn 100 years old next year. And we put our post up against anybody's as far as community assistance, helping vets. No matter what it is, we will find a way. We'll find a way to get something done. So I'm now the senior vice, so I'm number 2 in our rank structure here. So that's one. The other one is Blue Star Service Dogs. We found that our four-legged friends, our canines, can be outstanding support system for our vets. So that's one of the main things to do. But to be clear, the one big thing about that is that our folks go out and check the dogs out, at shelters, and then they see what kind of dog this could match up with a vet's certain type of needs. So then we send the dog to some correctional facilities with some of the prisoners that are take on this new training, become dog handlers, trainers and things like that. So then we give them a chance, to do a little bit of redemption and also, kind of like pay it back. But then we match them up with the vet, and then now you end up helping like 3 total people. What kind? I mean, I don't know of a better story there. With you end up saving a dog, you give some guys a chance to redeem themselves, and then you team them up with a veteran, and it's all free of charge. The only thing is commitment to you're going to train, and you're going to get it's close to a year. The training takes about close to a year, and that's the only commitment we ask for. You just come in here, train, get with your dog, and let's help you out. So that's Blue Star. The other one is I am the court mentor here locally at a veterans court program. So some of our people make mistakes, myself included, and I found that it'd be nice if somebody that's been through what you've been through, is available for you for any insight or maybe advice, or to give you some perspective of where you're at, what's going on. And so I've been volunteering there for, I believe it's coming up on 5 years.
Awesome.
And yeah, those are the three main other ones.
Well, I thank you that you're in your community and you're doing positive things for the needy, for the ones that can use the tug, or either you pull them along and so forth. I love what you're doing. I love the mindset you have, and I know that you're up against a lot of negatives out there in the world. And I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't know the dynamics of that or whatever, but I believe in Mission Possible. I believe in the mind, body, spirit. I believe in Dr. Marty's work and so forth. I utilize these tools, and I think, honestly, I think I'm a better person. I think the tools that we provide in Mission Possible and the courseware that Marty has, and my journal as well that I utilize, that I'd never write things down in terms of personal feelings and so forth, is helpful because it makes me take a look back at yesterday of how I felt that day, and today, we're going to talk about, self-judgment, and regret and so forth, because we carry that. Those are the negative things that we can carry, that society or the narrative or a decision or choice, that we make, and then we reflect on that and it eats us away and so forth. And so I'm going to hand it over to Marty and all that, and I don't come up with the topics or whatever, so I produce or whatever. So, but I agree with what they present and so forth, because it plays a role in our everyday life. We have a veteran on today, which is Mo, and and I'm a veteran as well. But I thought about this last night, Marty, and I was like, what, it's not that I'm tired of it. I just hear so much negative about our veterans, like they're so broken. They're not. We all have issues. Society has issues. Our children in schools, our young adult children in colleges, businessmen, first responders, family members, we all have all these negative things that beat us up on a daily basis, and then how do we work through those things so we can have a fulfillment, so we have a good day today, I like to be in the present. I want to talk about today. You know, I don't want to talk about yesterday. I don't want to talk about what happened 10 years ago, or, you know, the abuse of mom and dad or whatever. I want to talk about today. And today we're going to talk about, self-judgment and regret and so forth. So Marty, I'm going to throw it at you, and what's your thought, Marty, in terms of how that can eat us away, and what tools in the toolbox you think that we can probably utilize to, combat that a little bit or make that day a little bit easier?
Yeah, well, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Mo. And I'm just very impressed and inspired, really, by hearing what you're doing, both of you, really, that you take the experiences that you've had. I'm sure some of them, I know that some of them have been very difficult. Like you say, Joe, it's not restricted to the military or veterans, but I think people who've been in the military and who are veterans, and especially people who've been in combat, have experiences that the civilian population by and large doesn't have. And it's institutionalized and codified, and you're trained for it, and you're prepared as well as anybody can be for those experiences. And yet many of them are horrific and traumatic, as well as courageous and inspirational. And so there are some particular things that military veterans have been exposed to that the rest of the population probably hasn't. But on the other hand, we're all human, and that's part of the problem. If you could get a military that wasn't human, that would be a problem in itself. But the people who choose to enter that life and experience those things and come out of them with not nearly as much preparation as they get going in, is my understanding. You don't go through a basic training to re-enter civilian population. That might be a good thing to do. So, when Joe reached out to me and we connected through a mutual colleague about what other tools could we offer, the veterans in this case to work with, that's where the development of Mission Possible came in. And what Mission Possible really is, it's a toolkit. It's 7 mind, body, spirit techniques, and that over my 52 years of medical practice, dealing with a lot of people with stress and anxiety and depression, and a lot of the same things that we deal with vet or not. These are the 7 most useful tools that I've come across. So we put them in a toolbox. They're not the be all and end all. It may well do much more for somebody to connect with an animal, a loving. Certainly it does much more to connect with like-minded people and people who have been through similar experiences in a setting that's oriented towards life improvement and self-compassion and self-knowledge. So, but these are tools that you can use. These are inside-out tools. These are things that you can use in any circumstance, whether you're still active duty, whether you're retired, whether you're in some kind of recovery, whether you've been addicted. These are ways to use your mind. I think these are things that should be probably taught in elementary school.
Exactly.
But they're not, so we're never taught. A lot of people are interested in telling us all what to think. And, the military is probably at the head of that list, but not exclusive. The churches want to tell us what to think. The schools want to tell us what to think. The government wants to tell us what to think. Our parents wanted to tell us what to think. Everybody wants to tell us what to think. What Mission Possible is about is how to think, and, back up one step and be the operator of your mind.
Exactly.
Can you back up and observe your thinking? And for instance, in terms of regrets, one of the things you can do when we do things that we feel we shouldn't have, or we didn't do something we feel we should have, or we make a mistake like all humans do, one of the things we do about that is we tell ourselves stories about it. And a lot of times those stories amplify it. They make it worse than it was. They're full of judgment. It's hard to let go of it. And so we get stuck in this cycle of sort of self-judgment, self-anger, shame, self-pity. So one of the first tools is, I think the first tool we teach in Mission Possible is to back up and be an observer of the thoughts you've got in your mind, because they're not necessarily true. They're kind of what we tell ourselves at the beginning, for whatever reason, but they may not be true. And so one of the questions is that you can ask yourself in that state is there another story that's at least equally true, maybe even more true? Is there another way to look at this thing? Can you back off and back out of the emotion so you're not taking it so personally? And is there another way? And we go through later on, I'll talk about some of the other techniques in the toolbox, but I'm also wondering, because regret, we all have regrets. We all make mistakes. We all do things that we wish
I regret I didn't have that second cup of coffee this morning, Marty. My God. That's what, having
Well,
that second cup of coffee is life-changing, brother, man.
yeah. Well, you'll survive that one.
Hey, Mo, listen, I'm going to explain something to you.
Go
Marty's not a boring guy at all, right? But, I tell you what, though, I tried to ruffle his feathers to get him going or whatever, but
I can go on and on. Yeah.
But he lives by mind, body, spirit, but he's absolutely right, I mean,
Yeah.
we all want to, okay, Happy New Year, right? My new year, I'm going to buy a treadmill. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to walk more. I'm going to do this. I'm going to seek self-improvement in one way or another. But no one that I know of actually sits down and says, I'm going to think about this. I'm going to think about that mind. I'm going to think about my mind. What's the characteristics of it? Why do I have a brain? What does the brain do? How do I feed the brain? How do I massage and speak to myself? I mean, the brain is probably the most important thing next to your heart, all right, in our body. And we don't think about that and concentrate on it. Like Marty says, right, the narrative is given to us, right? The narrative is given to us when we're born, right? From our parents, let it be a broken family, whatever the case is, right? High school, right? College, right? Military. What do we do when the drill instructor, Sergeant Major VanFonda gets you online with 80 other, we zeroize it, right? We make you nothing and we build you, right? What do we build you with? Our core values, right? Moral compass, standards and so forth. So here we are in a civilian world, all right? We look around, some standards are higher than others. So I'm going to ask you, Mo, all right? And we talk from the heart. I couldn't care the negative that I receive on this. I couldn't care. I mean, I just don't care about what other people think about me, because that poisons my day. So right now, all right, be honest with me. What do you regret? And I know you have self-judgment. I know you're always judging yourself, seeking self-improvement, and you're probably beating yourself up on some of the things that you're not, but why? So what's on your mind here, Mo?
Well, I think both of you seriously picked this subject and picked me for it specifically. Because as soon as I saw what the subject matter was, like, did they know? What do they know about me? Because you hit center mass with this topic. Regret. Let's see.
Don't give me no BS, Mo.
It's not BS.
I want honesty right here, brother. I want you to ruffle the feathers of who's listening. We're watching right now.
I have about the first 15 years post-military, post-Marine Corps are full of regret. The first 15, it wasn't until after that I started being able to square myself away slowly. But I pretty much acted like a PFC on payday, Sergeant Major, for the first 15 years. I was a PFC on payday. I was reliving all those moments from the Marine Corps nonstop. And it's because it's what I knew. It's what I knew, and it was normal. And I was surrounded by people that enjoyed it. We enjoyed each other. It's exactly that. I was just acting that way. Along the way, the things I do regret was first, picking alcohol as my number one method to deal with anything, whether it's time to celebrate or maybe you're trying to get your mind right or trying to get over something. Alcohol first on the list. Because then, with that amplifies all the other problems, which was, relationship issues, had plenty of those. Families. I felt like at some point, it started feeling like I was starting to let my family down. Like I wasn't even a active member of my family. I would show up to events. I'm like, they don't need to deal with this. They don't need to deal with me. I'll show my face, say a couple things, and then take a photo here and there to say I was there, and then bounce. So I have plenty of regret that I let that much time go by, and it would appear at first that I just let it go to waste. I feel like those 15 years are almost a waste if it wasn't for the experience of learning what happened during those 15 years. So I mean, all those things combined was I was just very determined. I was determined, very hard-headed, is probably a better word for thinking. Like you mentioned the mind, right? Well, we all know we adapt, we overcome. That's ingrained in my head. The mind, what is it? Just mind over matter. So I wasn't really used to dealing with my head. I was only dealing with what challenge in front of me. It's time to address it and overcome it. But the whole time, I should have been dealing with my brain. That's what I should have been dealing with, instead of just what appeared to be an obstacle. So I have plenty of regrets, and it would be those first 15 years.
Hey, Mo, I'm not a dummy, but listen, your day, right? Hey, Marty, check this out. I already know he's got a deep seed that's eating him up right now, and he's gonna tell us what it is. But let me tell you the reason why I know he has a deep seed. And you know what I'm talking about, Mo, because Sergeant Major, we know our troops, right? Right? We can read those characters and so forth, right? Here's something. Mo is so busy. He is so busy, right? He's losing the quality time specifically for him, right? And his mental health. Think about that, right? Think about it. Something's eating you up there, Mo, because guess what? You're so active. You're so active in your community in Pontiac, Michigan, through the VFW post, to the service dogs, to having your own nonprofit, to teaching at the college, right? When do you come up, Mo? When do you come up, or are you worried about complacency? Right? You're worried about complacency. Marty, what's your thought on what's your thought on that before we give it back to Mo? Mo knows I'm on something, right, Mo? Come on now.
You're on
Something's going on. What's going on, Mo?
Or you want the doc? You want the doc to come at me?
I want the doc to chime in a pinch, but I want the doc to start peeling the onion back on your brain housing group right there, because I mean your day is full of just giving,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something's going on, Mo. Hey, Doc, what do you think about that?
I think there's always something going on.
Oh, yeah.
I think I think I approach this differently than you do, Joe, possibly because I'm a health professional. So I learned a long time ago that, how would I say it, respectfully, is I think the things that Mo's doing are fantastic. And I would rather see, as just a member of society, I would rather see people like Mo doing the things that Mo is doing. If I had to choose, like, Mo, do you want to sit around all day and be introspective and dig into yourself and learn how to use the Mission Possible toolkit?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that would be a good thing for anybody to do. But I think Mo's dug into himself, and I don't know that we're ever going to be completely free of regrets, because I just don't know that we ever are. Sometimes we've done something that we're going to continue to regret. It just may take a different role in our life, where maybe we have found a way to, I assume you got sober, Mo, and, and whether you use 12-step or something related or not, but you found a way to get sober. You've redirected your life energy into doing things that are helpful for other people, and that's good. And if you're actively suffering and you're saying, I'm doing all these things, and but I'm getting more and more depressed, or I'm not sleeping at night, or I'm having trouble, then you go to somebody and talk about it. And That's where somebody like me comes in, Joe. I don't stop people on the street. And, I had a friend like that once. He said, "You look." His introduction to everybody was, "You look uptight." That's what he would say. He was a Frenchman. "You look uptight." And people would, of course, get really uptight, or they'd start talking to him. I had another friend who once said to me, he says, I'm pretty uptight." But so I don't know. I don't, if Mo wants to share any of that stuff, that would be great. I think he can add, I think that Mo will find additional tools in Mission Possible that will help him,
Right.
that could help him deal with anything that's remaining. But I don't know. I don't tend to go into people with a can opener.
Well,
I tend to go,
I like,
I tend to invite
yeah,
them,
right. Well,
what's going on? What would you like to talk about? And that has to do with regrets and self-judgment. And Mo probably has some experience,
but
as do you,
absolutely. But
dealing with.
I'm throwing Mo under the bus. The reason why is because Mo, I'm cut from the same cloth here, brother. My
Yeah.
mind operates at such a high level. Not that I'm intelligent or anything like that, but I have to keep my mind going. You know,
Mhm.
if I'm home, I'm mowing the lawn, cleaning the garage, I'm
Mia,
doing something, washing vehicles, whatever,
privacy.
to the store, talking to siblings, families, what I'm always constantly going. On the weekends, honestly, for the last 9 years, I haven't taken a weekend off. I'm online, I'm working, I'm drafting, I'm printing policy procedures, programs, relationships connecting and so forth. So I look at when I look at your bio, I'm seeing all these active things and I'm like, wow, they're powerful. He's making an impact. He may not know that, but he's making a great impact. But is he taking a deep breath? Because I know I don't know how to do that. I need to take a deep breath and relax and just take some time for me, create quality time for my well-being. And that's my struggle. So when I see a bio like yours, I see you so active. I'm like, yeah, I know what the deep seed is. I know what my deep seed and where my roots go. It's not just the military. It's back, being, 4 years old, being
Right.
burned over from my father because I was playing with the knobs. I mean, and then it just gets nasty after that, right? And then that's the hard line, that's the hard aspect of a resiliency line, right? And then of course, development. I'm not getting that home and rut societies is creating that narrative for me in my life and so forth. So I just see that you're so active. I just know that you're you being so active is helping you, right?
Mhm.
It's helping you move
100%.
forward past some of those things that haunt us and so forth. I
Mhm.
know that, right? But I can talk about my mother. God bless her, whatever. She made bad choices, fifth grade education, and I forgave her years ago, whatever the case is. But she brought men in and out of my life, and I'm a little boy, 7 years old, and I remember my mom, right? And I'll move it to you here for a moment, but I want to share something. I remember my mom made liver, with onions. Oh my God, I was 7 years old. I didn't like to smell it or whatever. I would gag or whatever. I didn't eat it, right? But my mom was dating some guy named Gene or whatever, and I was the last one sitting at the table, right? My mom says, "You're gonna sit there and eat that." 4 hours
Mhm.
later, little kid, I'm not touching it, but that boyfriend of hers at the time took me off that chair, put me in front of the doorway going into the bedroom. He made me hold the door and he whipped the crap out of me with a belt, right?
Mhm.
I didn't cry. I hurt. I wanted to cry. I was crying inside. I just felt like I'm not going to give him that satisfaction, and he's my mother's boyfriend, I'm like, and my mom's sitting there smoking a cigarette, right? And just watching this guy beat me, abuse her 7-year-old boy, right? I looked up over at my mom, 15 minutes into my butt being whooped. I looked over at her and I said, "He's not my father." My mother put her cigarette out. She grabbed me, put me in a room. I crawled under the bunk bed and I slept under the bed, for that night. And that's where I cried. Right. So, do those things haunt me? Hell yeah, they do. But do I get past it? Yes. Do I dwell on it? No. And I was listening to Joe Rogan, and I like some of the topics they bring up. And he had a topic, it's called Listen to Learn. And he had this, I'm not sure who she was, but man, she made some good points and made me think about, Marty, right? It's called, it was about why dwell on all the negative that you went through in life in this curtain day. You know, if I thought about, in one day, all the abuse that I put up with as a young child today, my God, the sky's falling. I can't live for tomorrow, right? So I try to work through all that craziness as a young child, from high school to even Marine Corps, you know, some of the things that we've done in travel and so forth, and you see the despair in life. But I can't dwell on that, right? So that's one of the reasons why I say stay so busy, because I had such a horrific growing up and all that, and just keeping my mind going. I don't want it to slow down. I don't want these things to resurface. So I'm constantly busy, constantly keep my mind, and being introduced to Mission Possible and Dr. Marty, believe it or not, right, has helped me tremendously. Because now I know I can let go of things that I can't control. Right? I couldn't control that back then. You know, but why am I holding on to it now? I can control it now, right? And let it go. So that's what Mission Possible does. Right. Now, thank you, Marty. So I want to give it to you there, Mo. And you know, I'm an honest guy. I mean, come on. I'm human like anybody. You know, I mean, we all got things attacking us and beating us up throughout our life, whatever, you know, but how can we manage our daily life? How can we manage today, the present, just be in a great mood, you know, just love the guy next to you, child next to you, and do great things today? Isn't that awesome to be that positive? You know, Mission Possible is giving me
Let me
those.
ask you how has Mission Possible helped you with things like that? Those are heavy things.
Oh, no, definitely.
And those are still there, and they're still obviously very alive. And you've done a lot of great things, again, like Mo, for other people, and you're busy and you're giving, and anybody would tip their hat to you. But obviously, this still has a lot of energy. Here it is, middle of our, you know, you've shared it with us, and you know, I think everybody feels like, oh my God, you know, I'm very sorry that you or anybody would have to go through that. But I guess since you mentioned it, how's the toolkit helped you with that?
Well, okay, so what helped me with what's helped me cultivating calmness is probably favorite aspect of it, and
Mhm.
and understanding who, you know, what my observers. I have to take a step back at myself,
Mhm.
and I really have to look at, okay, you know, I'm a Gemini, right? There's two of me, right? I got Sergeant Major, and now I'm trying to find who Joe VanFonda used to be, right? So Joe VanFonda, right? All that abuse and everything, right? Joins the Marine Corps, becomes private PFC, Lance Corporal Sergeant, First Sergeant, Sergeant Major, right? And then you do it so long, become institutionalized. So I'm not Sergeant Major. My mind has been, you know, created for me in terms of narrative, customs and courtesies, principles, core compass, moral compass. I mean, all these wonderful leadership attributes, and that the military has given me. The Marine Corps has given me wonderful structure, you
Mhm.
know, and gave me moral compass. So I'm thankful for all that. But
Mhm.
these things do pop up, you
Right.
know. And before being introduced to Marty, I wanted, as the CEO for DVNF, I wanted somewhat of a platform, right, that can focus on, I want to learn what's going on in here. How can I manage that? Because believe it or not, Marty, although we're providing a service for all these individuals out there, you know, it's a service for me too. So it's helping me. So, you know, talking to you, bringing on a guest, or just talking in general, you know, you're having that communication. All right. And it's a natural feelings. Emotions are it's like a river, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes it shifts. And I think that the tools in the toolbox, they do help. They do relax me. They help me with being more respectful, because sometimes when you know, these things in the past, they come inside me, it kind of gets me agitated or anxiety or uneasy. And next, you know, I'm snapping at a loved one or a friend that doesn't deserve it or whatever. And that's
Mhm.
not fair to them. And I take a step back and I realize, oh boy, I better take a break. You know, take a
Mhm.
break, relax a little bit, you know, shut the door, you know,
Mhm.
be a little bit tranquil, just take deep breaths, relax a little
Go
bit,
through
you
the
know, what's
breathing.
bothering me and so
Yeah.
forth. But,
Yeah.
you know, and there's points that ways to boost your mental health, make social connections. I love meeting new folks, you know, stay active, which we continue to do so. Set goals for yourself, which I do, short, long-term goals, you know.
That's a
Trying
lot
to
of the stuff
back.
that that's a lot of the stuff that it sounds like Mo's program brings as well, you know, because one of the things about self-judgment that is so difficult to deal with and so damaging is that it tends to disconnect us from other people
Yeah.
because we think that we're different. We think like I did this thing, and so I'm the worst. I'm out. Like what Mo was saying about, you know, visiting with the family, popping in, making an appearance. But I got the sense, Mo, and I'm kind of reading your mind a little bit, but really feeling different. I'm an outsider. I don't really
Right.
belong. People don't want me here. I've done something terrible. I've done something unforgivable. I'm an outcast, and you're disconnected from other people. So at the beginning, Mo, when you said, one of the first things you said about the jujitsu training is, being with like-minded people. And so, part of it starts there. So being with like-minded people, having a focus, something especially that involves self-awareness
Mhm.
and develop self-awareness, physical self-awareness, but also mental self-awareness. You're able to direct your energy and be in a place with other people, and other people have made mistakes too. I mean, it's only human. That's where we get that kind of that's where we get that statement. It's only human. To be human is to be fallible and to make mistakes. But then the question is, what do you do with that
Mhm.
going on? And it may take quite a while. Like Mo shared, 15 years before you can even surface from the how do I just turn the pain off? Alcohol's quick. It works up to a certain point, and then it stops working, and it brings its own problems. And
Mhm.
so, one of the main things is to connect with other people, but the other thing is to connect with yourself, Joe. And that's why, you were mentioning the 3 keys to calmness, which is basically a deep relaxation
Mhm.
um, method, and coming into your body, because that's it's very early on, because everything you've talked about only exists right now in your memory, in your
Mhm.
mind, and in your story, and in your narrative. So when you bring, if nothing else, if you bring yourself like, here, what do I feel in my body right now? What do I feel if I breathe, and if I invite my body to, if I'm present in my body, if I feel the bottoms of my feet as I stand on the ground, or where I'm touching the chair, or
Right.
what I see right now, or
Mhm.
what I hear right now, it brings you to the animal body in a sense.
Mhm.
There's no
Mhm.
story. Where there's no story, there's generally very little.
Right.
There's 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 no shame, there's no pain.
And I'm different. I mean, there's abuse out there in the world. As a young kid and all that, right? And either become that as an adult or you don't. And I chose not to. I treated all my young children or young adults with compassion, love, respect, mentorship. I did my best not to be that. And I, Marty, listen,
Bless your
I
heart.
don't say these things to get individuals to feel sorry for Joe, because quite frankly, I'm just, hey, this is what I become though.
Right.
I was abused. I mean, I can tell you stories that you'd lose your mind at, but the best time I had that I felt loved, all right, growing up as a young child, is when my mother couldn't take care of us no more, and the state took us away and put me in a home. So I was in a home, St. Coleman's home, upstate New York, and I had a nun that took care of me, Sister Mary Karen. She became my mom. I was loved, I was respected, I was cared for, and a couple years or so in the home, and whether so, if I look back at my childhood, I look at the best time. The best time is when I was taken away from my family, placed in a home. It's sad, but it's real. This is life, and I want everybody who's watching, listening, or whatever. If you got deep seeds, it doesn't matter how you're born or whatever, you can succumb and past all those things, and you can do great things in your life. And that's what I'm trying to do, but they still haunt you. And that's the reason why I wanted to know a little bit more about this, because I was being haunted. And believe it or not, this is a great tool. I mean, I can go to see my doctor and they give me, medication and so forth. And yes, medication does help and so forth, but I want something to be free of that. I wanted to learn a little bit more, right? Knowledge is power. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Mo. What's your thought on some of this right here? Does this resonate with you just a little bit?
Yeah, now I'm getting concerned that the more I learn on this podcast, the more I hear yourself and let the doc talk. I'm gonna end up doing some more self-evaluation when we get out of here. So
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
no,
this is good stuff, Mo. You know,
yeah,
I believe what Dr. Marty's been doing all his life. I think we need more of this. This needs to be part of the school. We need to teach our children to be mindful of each other, mindful of the situation, because that right there is going to give them self-assurance, not, you know, following me. I need friends liking me. The narrative is terrible. There's more negative in social media than positive if you think about it, right? I mean, we're just portraying all this negative stuff on the viewer, the user, and so forth. You know, but you know, so one of the reasons, you know, I'm still around because of DVNF. It keeps me alive, honestly, quite frankly. Meeting folks like you keep me alive, you know, and I just love it. I just love to work with individuals that have the heart and desire that wants to help others. I try to keep the negative individuals out of my life, and I'm happy to bring you into the Disabled Veterans National Foundation family. I'm happy to introduce you to Dr. Martin Rossman. I'm happy that you're enrolled in Mission Possible, and I'm hoping that you can, you know, continue to go through the course, download the app. I'm hoping that you can share this with other veterans. Let it be a resource to uplift and help individuals out of that rut, you know, and be a wonderful tool to move on, you know, and that's what I want out of Mission Possible. And I'm hoping that you know, you being introduced to me by Barry, I'm hoping that I can uplift your world, you know, as being not only the, you know, the DVNF CEO, not only the Sergeant Major, but Joe. I'm your friend, brother. You're always going to have a friend with me, and I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to tear you down. I'm not going to diminish your character. I'm not going to. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care how tall, skinny, fat, short you are, or guess what, there, Mo. I don't care if you have hair, you know, because guess what, you know, the military blew mine off, but.
yeah.
But you know, but listen, this tool right here, the Mission Possible toolbox, it is wonderful. You know, it's not going to cure all life challenges, but it's going to help you manage, you know, your daily, your next week, and so forth. So I'm hoping that
So
this.
let me step in for a minute just because we have a limited amount of time. So Mo, you said at the beginning that you kind of felt like we picked you specifically for this topic for
Yeah.
a reason. So I'm wondering if you'd take a few minutes and tell us what you've learned about dealing with regrets and self-judgment and so on. You've obviously been through a journey. You've obviously come out the other side, learned a lot, and are sharing with other people. So what would, if you were able to share something you've learned that's been helpful about regrets and self-judgment, what would that be?
Oh, what a good question. Well, you know, I was thinking about it as hearing you talk, and it occurred to me how interesting regret is. Because on one hand, you're going to regret certain actions, like something happened, but it's all within. I think it's a matter of time. It should be included in the context. So during that time, I was making mistakes that I didn't know I was making mistakes. I didn't know I was. This was normal to me. I did not regret it then. You know, it isn't until later that I learned, hey, this is not acceptable behavior. This is not okay. Now I start regretting stuff. And then here's the more interesting one that happened recently with my recent success and recognition and accolades, things like that. Those moments that I should feel very accomplished and triumphant, and I do feel good about the stuff that I've done. I still, this creepy thing comes back at me. Is like, look at you. You could have done this 15 years ago. You could have done this then, but no, you had to do it this way, take the long road, take the hard road, and then now you're saying, hey, look what happened. This is what you can do. So it's very interesting that to me that I could still, you know, step forward and accept a lot of these accolades. But it's just interesting to me that I still feel a little bit of regret from why couldn't you have done this sooner? Why did it take you so long? You know, something like that. So regret's interesting. I got to tell you about the subject. I no longer necessarily regret that stuff because I'm here right now today. So I don't know if I can be this guy in front of you today without that bad stuff. And it'd just be a shame if I didn't use that stuff for today. I think it helps me link up really easily with my fellow vets because it lends me a certain amount of credibility, a certain amount of but you know, so somebody may see this version of me now, but some of my closest friends still remember me. You know what I mean? And now they're calling me up like, how? What? I'll give you one that made me laugh a lot. This will really match up well with you, Sergeant Major. Is like, you are the veteran of the year, but you weren't even the okayest Marine. And I thought that was such a good quip that I laughed. And he sent that to me at like 06 in the morning. That's what I woke up to. That's the kind of guys that I have that love me and I love them. That's the kind of camaraderie that I miss. Like who the hell says you're not an okay Marine? And I just got this huge award, national award, and he doesn't even want to say congratulations. Instead, he hits me with the good old fashioned type of way that me and him get along. You know what I'm saying? That stuff, I'm always gonna miss that. So I'm glad I still have it with those guys. Which, by the way, they're coming to visit me in less than a month. 5 of them that I serve with are coming to visit me. But yeah, it wouldn't be. I made peace with that fact. Yes. Do I feel bad about those things? Yes, but it's not gonna define me.
Right.
Today is what I'm doing. Today is what I aspire to continue to be. And you can't have that bad without this good today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's
to have somebody that can actually, beat you up a little bit. What they're doing, Mo, you know this, they want you to raise the bar. We know you're better than that. Congratulations they're saying, but they're saying it in a different form. You know that.
Yeah.
But when you stomp the same ground, you cut from the same cloth, and you breathe the same air, and you wear the same uniform, and you serve the same time, or even more so, whatever. It's just that we're different. And not to take away from the Army, Navy, and so forth, but I'm kind of partial to Marines. I'm partial to the Navy. I'm partial to all the branches of services and first responders as well as family members. But you're absolutely right, Mo. I'm proud of you, Mo. Do we have any questions out there, Dr. Marty, that we have?
Well, we have a comment that I think is good because we probably should point to a little bit more in the toolbox that we mentioned the deep relaxation, the coming into the body. We mentioned the developing the awareness of the observer and being able to step back and notice what's going through your mind, taking as opposed to being, because the ordinary state of consciousness, we think what's going on in our mind is real. We think it's true and it's real and that's how it is. I'm this, I'm that, I'm less than, I'm not enough, I'm an idiot, I'm this, I'm that stuff. Okay, everybody has those thoughts. If we can step back and watch it, again, we can ask those questions like, is this really true? Well, maybe I'm not an idiot, or maybe I'm an idiot who's developing good compensatory abilities, or maybe I'm capable of learning my way out of it. But another one of the techniques that's in the toolbox is this connecting with what we call your inner wisdom figure, which is a part of yourself that has 2 particular qualities. One is wisdom. There is a part of, we all have more wisdom in us than we give ourselves credit to, and we're generally not directed to it. Again, we grow up and we learn like, hey, stupid, what are you doing over there? And what Mo was talking about is still, there's still a somewhat active, we call it an inner critic that we all have. And an inner critic can be useful up to a certain level if it keeps us honest and keeps us moral and so on. But it's not useful when it tells us you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're less than, you don't have any guts, you don't have this, you don't have that, and it just goes on and on berating us. And that's a part of us that sort of has its own life. It has its roots generally in our childhood. But when you step back and you see, here's a part of me, and maybe it's wrong, and maybe it's not true. Maybe I can stand up to it. Maybe I can talk back to it. Maybe I can reason with it. Well, there's another part of us, and it doesn't mean we're multiple personalities. These are just aspects of ourselves. There's a part of us that holds our wisdom, that gives good advice to friends. That is the person. I know that many people see each of you and they see me as people with some wisdom, and they come to you and they tell you their story and what's going on, and you listen to them with compassion and wisdom. I know that you do. I see Joe do it all the time. So what if we actually get to know that part of us and we turn it towards ourselves? What if we see ourselves from that same perspective that you're seeing these other wounded people from, and saying, this is a human being who's been wounded one way or the other, and maybe I can give them some feedback because I'm holding them in that position of wisdom and compassion. That's what the inner wisdom. And this person says, I think what Mo's doing is commendable and much appreciated, and I also hope you stop to take a breather and take care of yourself too, Mo. I used to allow myself to sink into regrets more deeply and would ruminate for long periods of time, wasting time and energy getting myself into worse mental states, because we can do that, which would lead me to taking more actions and saying more things I'd regret. It can be a rough cycle that I hope everyone's able to break out of. Thinking of my inner wisdom figure from the Course helps me with distancing my actual self from the momentary me that did things in the past that don't align with what I know is right and good. Why beat the current me up for that? Why not put that energy into pushing forward as best I can? Which I think is really pretty close to the heart of it. That's one of the most powerful tools there is. It doesn't mean you have to believe any one way or another. It's like, what if I just paid attention to myself with the wisdom and the compassion that I would if my best friend came to me and
Absolutely.
shared this story? What if I was my own best friend, which doesn't mean glossing over it, which means really listening and understanding with compassion that we're human beings and looking towards where do we go from here? Because going around that same regret and shame cycle, isolation, doesn't take us anywhere. So you've both made opportunities for people to do that. The techniques in the toolbox can help people learn ways from the inside out to breaking out of that. So, yeah.
Marty says it right. Remember, I'm an old knuckle dragon sergeant major. I tell you what, Marty, you're spot on. And I'm blessed to have you in my life. I'm blessed to have a platform where it's free for all veterans, first responders, and their family members. We want to provide those resources. We want to give them the tools, and I'm hoping that
You made that happen.
Yeah. And we're going to continue to make it happen. I want thousands and thousands. I want to continue to develop, continue to give our best. If you give your best, but you're absolutely right, Mark. What about giving your best to yourself?
Yeah. Include yourself. It doesn't have to be just you. You don't have to be a pig about it and treat yourself better than you treat everybody else, but don't treat yourself worse than you would treat, neither one of you, just knowing Mo for a few minutes and knowing you for a little bit longer, Joe, neither one of you would treat another person badly at this point in your life. You would, and if somebody came to you with a problem, you'd be thinking, how can I be there for this person? What's the next step? How can I help them see themselves in a better light?
Absolutely.
And the more people we touch with that, the more people can touch other people with that too.
Absolutely. It's contagious. I mean,
Right.
Give them love and support, and, give your best to someone. That's contagious. You want to be around individuals that can uplift you, and give it that positive, not the negative. So I got something for you. How about this there, Mo? All right, I'm going to bless you. DVNF is going to write you a check today for $10,000. All right. And once I get off this, I'm going to email you the award letter. Type it up in Word. We're going to give you $10,000 for your foxhole.org. All right. And I want you to utilize that to uplift those veterans that you're reaching out to. Congratulations. We care about you, brother. We really do.
I can't tell you how motivating that is, Sergeant Major. Coming from you kidding me? You're doing stuff, and to take the time to say, it matters a lot to me. Somebody like yourself saying, I see you. I see what you're getting after. I want to help you keep doing that and even push you even further. It's a tremendous amount of fuel for me to do something like that.
Well, you're most welcome. I'm gonna help you with your website. I'm gonna introduce you to some folks. I'm gonna bring you into not that you're not into that world, but I want to let you know your value. And trust me, brother, there's so many great individuals out there with great hearts that love what you're doing. You just have to get your message out there, because what you're doing, is phenomenal. Not only are you just teaching, martial arts, or whatever, you're teaching the mindfulness that comes with you, teaching the discipline, and not to mention, you're giving a lot of yourself.
It's a great living example of what you can do with the energy that comes out of that if you don't just collapse into it. And even if it took you 15 years, some people never find that way.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we talked about Foxhole, what you do and so forth.
Yeah.
We're gonna grant you, I'm not gonna grant, I'm giving you 10,000 because I know where you're gonna put the work to. But here's something too. You're also a vice president of VFW, aren't you not?
Yes.
All right. We're gonna work with you, DVNF, and our health and comfort kits, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna try to get you about 200, 250 health and comfort kits to your VFW post where you can
Hell
actually
yeah.
take care of your veterans within the community, and those health and comfort kits, there's a lot of value there because they're providing, you're providing something that we don't think about, the hygiene stuff, socks,
Yeah.
face shampoo and so forth, and food cards and so forth. So we're going to coordinate. You and I will talk a bit more next week, and I'm going to line you up with our program team, and I'm going to try to help you to have your own grab and go event at the VFW, and you're going to do a little bit more outside of just a Foxhole. So I'm going to help you raise the bar in your VFW as well. How's that?
Sergeant Major, I'm doing my best to maintain my bearing right now. That's what I'm doing. But I hope you know when I tell you something like this, how much it means to me. I promise you, with that kind of stuff, I will continue to bust my and keep going.
Yep. I'm going to hold you accountable because I'm going to come up and visit up there in Pontiac, Michigan.
I hope so.
I want to see what you're doing there, brother.
We'll have a blast.
All right. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. So many good people doing good things, and a lot of it came out of roots of pain and roots of suffering and hard work and, surviving it on the one hand, learning from it on the other hand, rising above it on the other hand. And I think we all have a mutual interest in bringing God to help other people.
And this isn't a one-time thing there, Mo. I want to hold you accountable, brother. I want you to help me with the numbers on Mission Possible. I want you to push these resources out.
Do
I
it.
want you to pull Mission Possible in your VFW post. I want you to pull Mission Possible in your Foxhole for every veteran that you introduce. I want it to be a tool, I'd rather have tools than no tools whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
relationship
you
that
have
with DVNF,
everything you need, Sergeant Major. Let me know.
well, I'll tell you what, I want to know what you need and what we can do and how we can team up together. And that's what it's all about. It's about, extending the arm, it's about force multiplying, right? It's about, taking care of others, and you're doing all the things. You're like-minded. You fall within the mission statement of what DVNF is doing, and the mind, body, spirit, you have some of those attributes in martial arts and so forth. So I know Marty's happy about that as well. And here's something too, the relationship doesn't stop now, right? It's going to continue and we're going to build upon it, right? I may not be able to give you all the answers, but I'm also going to be there for you as a sounding board and also give you some direction if I can, okay? I promise you that.
That's wonderful. Mo, thanks for being with us.
Beautiful.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Joe. And thank all the people who are with us today. And I think, Joe, we want to extend that invitation to everybody who's involved with extend it to other people if it's been helpful to you, if it's free, it's accessible, it's become part of this community, and extend it to your friends and your colleagues and your buddies and other people who can use it. And we will be back here next month.
We believe that all life challenges can be managed, and I think that Mission Possible gives us the essential tools. And I'm just hoping that, we can continue to bless and support and serve as much as we can, Mo, and force multiplying, right? I touched you, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I haven't heard, and you know what? I haven't heard that phrase in a while, which also made my day. Force multiplier. It applies perfectly.
Absolutely, brother. Listen, we wish you the best there, brother.
Yep.
Simplified Ellis.
Bye-bye.
Simplified Ellis.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you for being with us, Mo.
Kimmy, thank you so much for having me, guys. I appreciate the hell out of you.
Thanks for what you do.
All right, Mo. Hey, Mo, go to the web, go to the email. You're going to get that letter.
Let's do it.
All right,
Simplify,
brother.
Sergeant Major. Thank you.
Right, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Marty.
Out.